Global research estimates there are around 5.4 million children living in orphanages. But even more alarming is that at least 80% of these children are not orphans. These children have families who have neither abused nor abandoned their children, but due to poverty have simply struggled to provide for and raise them. Poverty is by far the most significant influence triggering family separation, with the most common response from vulnerable families being, "I was unable to feed, provide safe shelter, or send my child to school, and because of this, believed I had no other option other than to send my child to an orphanage."
In 2008, Cyclone Nargis made landfall in Myanmar, devastating much of the country. Shortly after this, Pastor Shane met Minway, a local pastor from Myanmar. Pastor Minway is a true hero of the faith and had begun caring for 70 children separated from their families during the cyclone. From this initial meeting in 2008 up until 2012, Enjoy Church partnered with Pastor Minway to help care for each of these children who were being housed in 3 different orphanages in 3 different parts of the country. Psalm 68:6 says, "God puts the lonely in families." In early 2013, Pastor Danny Major travelled to Myanmar to begin a conversation with Pastor Minway with a view to begin a different approach when it came to the care of these children. This approach would see each of the 70 children reintegrated back into their communities. Without knowing what Pastor Danny wanted to see him about, miraculously, only 5 minutes into the meeting, Pastor Minway began to share his heart. "My heart has never been for these children to live in an orphanage, but always to see them back with their families. Can you help me find a way to do this?" It was from this conversation and in partnership with Australian Christian Churches International, we launched Connected Myanmar and began the enormous task of tracing the families and reintegrating these 70 children back to their next of kin.
5 years later, in 2018, after a significant investment of resource and training and much hard work by Pastor Minway and his team, all 3 orphanages were formally closed. They had successfully been able to trace the families of the children and reintegrate them back into their families, and at the same time, most importantly, ensure each placement would remain secure and sustainable. Today, 100% of these placements remain strong with each family thriving. Today, our partnership with Pastor Minway and Connected Myanmar looks very different than when we first began, but no less strategic. Hosanna Orphanage, one of the 3 former orphanages, have now become Hosanna Community Learning Centre.
Hosanna Community Centre's main purpose is to ensure every child has the opportunity to grow in a strong, healthy family. The centre is now an invaluable resource for the whole community, offering numerous initiatives and vocational training, all aimed at strengthening vulnerable families. Training includes hairdressing, tailoring and welding, as well as primary and secondary tuition. Since the centre opened, there have been 50 graduates, many of whom have gone on to start small businesses, whilst another 20 parents will graduate in June this year. Enjoyers, God's design has always been for children to belong in families.
This year, through our One Day campaign, we're asking enjoyers to prayerfully consider giving the equivalent of 1 day's salary to our One Day offering.
You can give between now and Easter Sunday using Enjoy Church's giving options. Please note 1 day in the description.
Our legacy through this one-day offering will be to bring generational change. It's just one more way we see lives restored and communities transformed.